What is up, everybody? What is up? I am going to do a quick little short video here. I'm doing it live for you guys so we can just walk through the patch notes together. I have listed the patch notes in the description as well if you want to check them out on your own for more detail. We're just going to hit the highlights here. Some of the stuff's pretty straightforward and stuff you can look up or see in the store, because they really care about the store like that. So, all right, let's see. Let's go through here and just see what content dropped for Season 6, see if there's any nerfs or gameplay changes to be expected. All right. So, excuse me, I just got over cold too, so I'm still a little nasally. All right, so we got our first look at the Battle Pass. If you want to take a look, obviously check that out in game. Here's a little picture of it if you want to see. We've got new operators, new guns, new blueprints, the works. They want you to spend your money on Black Cell per usual. Check that out. It does come with COD points as well. So we're going to scroll past some of this. I mean, they're pretty cool looking, but, that's for you to decide if you want to spend your money on. Ash, Helsing, Skeletor. We do have an event for the Haunting coming. It's like the Haunting of Verdansk, it seems, on October 17th. But I'm assuming from what we've seen here in the notes, it takes place in Al Mazrah, but it sounds like it's going to be affecting the Resurgence maps too. So like Vondel and whatnot, everything's going to be at night. Some special challenges and things like zombies and different group challenges. So be on the look for that. And of course, returning is your favorite jump scares. So hopefully the jump scares don't take over your headphone audio like they did in Verdansk and make you go deaf. But in the meantime, be on the look for that. New weapons, we've got the TR-76 Geist, which is essentially the TAR from previous titles. We've got the new 9mm ISO SMG, so it's like the 45 cal, just 9mm. I'm assuming probably faster fire rate. I don't know about the damage. Dual commas, or however you say it, is melee weapon, like Cali sticks. So for all you Riot Shield warriors out there. New attachments, the Lockwood 300 got a dual trigger. If you haven't already seen the clips on Twitter and whatnot, it does appear that you can one-shot down some people with this implemented at certain distances when you ADS and hip fire. Granted, it does have a damage drop-off after some range, and once you fire, it's going to shoot both of your shells, and you're going to have to immediately reload. So, some pros and cons there. Weapon balancing, we're just going to go through these real quick, whether or not they basically got a nerf or a buff. This is for multiplayer only to start off, so Warzone players don't fret, this isn't you yet. The Lockman Shroud got basically nerfed. It got a slight buff in the mid-distance or close to mid-distance damage, but that's the burst Lockman Shroud submachine gun. It's either burst or semi-auto, so no worries there. Minibot got a slight buff with a damage increase. ARs, the Cast-Off 7.62 in multiplayer only again. It did get a nerf all around. It does have increased mid damage range, which I'm not really sure how they separate that from the close damage range, but it got overall nerfed. The FR Advancer got an increased damage range, so a little buff to it. Once again, going forward for multiplayer, we got the Cronin Squall got a buff, the Lockman 7.62 got a buff, SO14 got a buff, and the TAC V got a buff. Shotguns, the Bryson 800 got a slight nerf, Expedite 12 got a buff, the MX Guardian got a nerf slightly. Marksman rifles, the Tempest Torrent got a nerf all across the board, the Lockwood got a buff all across the board. The SAB 50 got, it looks like, a buff across the board, and the SPR 208 got a buff. Now, these next changes are for Warzone, so you guys that are here for Warzone information, pay attention. The assault rifle here, we've got the Chimera, got a nerf slightly to lower torso damage. The FR Advancer got a buff to limb damage. The ISO Hemlock, which is the AR, not to be confused with SMGs, got a neck damage multiplier decrease and an upper torso damage multiplier decrease, so it got nerfed. Cast-Off 7.62, which was the meta rifle for a little bit now. Looks like overall it got a pretty substantial nerf. The only one that got slightly buffed on it was the close damage range. The M13B Looks like it got nerfed across the board, so you probably won't see those two rifles in the meta anymore, or barely in the meta. The M13C got a slight buff. It looks like it might be a decent flex weapon if you're using a sniper, using it as an SMG and a rifle now. The M16 got a buff across the board, so be on the look for some people attempting to use some burst guns here and there. Hopefully it's not as dominant as like the AUG was in Warzone 1. The battle rifle, Cronin Squall, got a slight nerf. They keep nerfing it into the ground, you know. FTAC Recon got a buff across the board, so might be viable, but it's still a DMR, so, you know, damage drop-off's usually pretty bad for it. Lockman 762, it got a buff across the board, which this one could be a sleeper for the meta. It was already pretty solid if you built it out right. The recoil could get away from you a little bit, but, I mean, it's got a damage increase across the board, so might be a sleeper weapon for you guys out there that like these DMRs. SO14 overall got a buff. Don't see many people using it. I doubt it'll still be used that much, but might be viable now. TAC V, which was already a pretty solid choice if built out right, once again just high recoil, has a buff across the board. Well, a buff to its close damage and slight mid damage range increase, so you might see it use a little bit more, but the long range seems to have stayed the same. Handguns, the Basilisk got a buff. The FTAC Siege got a nerf. The Magna got a kind of 50-50, a little bit of a nerf and a buff. Close damage decrease, close to mid damage increase, upper torso damage multiplier decrease, and a limb damage multiplier decreased. P890 got a buff. Be careful for those OP pistols now. The X12 also got a buff, so you might go down pretty quick against some pistol players. 9mm Damon got a nerf, and the Desert Eagle got a buff, which is interesting. Be interested to see how many people use that. The shotguns, now this is where it gets a little interesting, and you've seen some clips, I'm sure, or streamers already. The Bryson 800, close to mid-range damage range increase, so it got a buff. Bryson 890 got a nerf across the board. The Lockwood 300 got a buff. The MX Guardian got buffed across the board. Now, sniper rifles. The Carrick 300, it got a buff across the board with damage profiles, but, you know, I don't see any increases on like ADS times, nothing like that, so don't get excited for like a K-Swiss type action. Signal 50 got nerfed, thankfully. Hopefully it's not still reigning supreme in Warzone ranked, but I'm sure it'll still be showing up. The SPX 80 got a buff across the board, so may see a little change in the meta for snipers in Warzone ranked. Submachine guns, Baz P got majorly buffed again. They keep buffing this gun and it keeps just underperforming, so we'll see if this buff actually puts it in the meta, but I doubt it. The Fennec 45 got kind of a half and half. It got some nerfs and some buffs. Overall, I don't think it's going to be very competitive against multiple players anyway, or in team fights. Maybe in solos it'll still be viable, but fast fire rate, you know, just not a whole lot to help it out. Lockman Shroud, once again, this is the burst fire MP5, not the standard. It got a burst fire head damage multiplier increase and a burst fire neck damage multiplier increase, so they really want you to use that burst fire mode. The only nerf on it is the semi-auto damage decrease, but other than that, it got a slight buff, so some people may be rocking it if you like using burst guns, especially in SMG. Minibok got a slight buff. MX9 got a buff across the board, so the MX9 will be interesting to try out, see if anybody uses that, maybe a little sleeper build somewhere. Moving on to the bug fixes, you guys can kind of read through them. I didn't see any substantial, like they didn't fix the Alt F4 bug in Warzone, which is an L. However, there are some bug fixes in there you can check out. Progression, I'll leave you guys to that for you prestige grinders. It's just basically what prestige level with what XP level. So more bugs. They did hint that they are getting ready for the beta, so that's why the file size for this patch is so big, so don't be alarmed. Special Ops has some bug fixes as well. New maps for multiplayer. La Casa is pretty solid. The aesthetic's pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and tell me if you've enjoyed playing it so far. It's a core 6v6 map. Same with Coro Village, new map as well. And then for Gunfight, they brought back one of the Modern Warfare 19 maps and slightly redid it with a new face to it. They also brought in a second Gunfight map called Fight. Some more bug fixes here. Not really sure why they don't include it all in one area, but rank play for Modern Warfare 2. Basically, all the new season weapons are banned. I mean, that's pretty standard. The SR, you get reset back one rank. So, if you ended in Crimson, you're in Diamond and Plat, and et cetera, et cetera. These are the new unlock rewards. You get some camos. This is for Warzone. This is for multiplayer. You get some charms, some skins for your vehicles, little Signal 50 and a SPX 80. So if you like grinding rank for both modes, that's your rewards this season. That's just breaking down the rewards again. For Warzone, this is going to be your playlist calendar for the week of September 27th, so this week. Nothing really crazy out of the ordinary there. A little sonic boom over my house scared me. Right, let's see. Alright, a new assault rifle weapon blueprint called the Flow Through is now available for the players to earn for the Champions Quest via Al Mazrah. They always add new rewards for that, so check that out if you're one of those grinders that likes to win a lot. Signals Intelligence contract has been re-enabled. Supply box loot behavior. We've improved the behavior and visibility of additional loot that drops on the ground. So I'm hoping this means like they did towards the end of Warzone 1, the loot actually splashes out kind of in a circle instead of just all in a pile, and it makes it really hard to grab stuff, especially on controller. Buy Station Limited Row has been replaced with Medic Plate Carrier, which costs 4,000. So just some slight changes here for Buy Station. Alright, let's see, some more bug fixes, which, once again, they didn't fix the Alt F4, which I think is what everybody was kind of hoping. Warzone rank play. Alright, so there were some changes that were interesting to a lot of people here. So the most important one, I mean, these restrictions, everything's kind of the same. Most important one, right? So, where is it? Yeah, right here. So the deployment fees have been updated now. So with these changes, the deployment fee for iridescent, if you're a grinder up there for the iridescent 250 above, that kind of thing, it's going to be pretty tough, especially now with the reduced player count down to 102 on ranked. So be prepared for a slightly different playthrough of how Warzone ranked is going to play now. With increased cost to joining each match, and I believe, let's see if they've got it down here. I know on Twitter they've confirmed the circles are going to be moving faster and are smaller now across Al Mazrah, so be prepared for a little faster paced gameplay but less teams. So I'm not really sure if it's just going to end up playing the exact same or if it is going to feel a little different. But for you grinders at iridescent or higher, good luck to you guys. There's not going to be as many teams to really farm that XP off of, so good luck. Once again, rewards here, we talked about those above. DMZ, I don't know how many of you guys still play DMZ, but in the case that you do, they did make an adjustment where there's only 4 players per team. I believe last time it was 6. Hostages can now be executed, reduced. Yeah, so a lot of these are just buy station changes. They made it seems more expensive also for different groups. So I think they've been trying to kind of reduce the PvP in here and make it more of a Tarkov-esque type game mode. But some more bug fixes for DMZ if you want to read through those. I'm not going to cover that in depth. But that is the patch notes, guys, for Season 6. So let me know if you guys enjoy it so far. I know it's only been one day, so we're going to hopefully get a stream up here this weekend of testing out some new guns and testing out how Warzone Rank plays, so be sure to tune in for that. We usually go live around 9:30 p.m. Eastern. But with that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I am out.